Hey everybody, this is Wendy with You Can't Yell at the Deaf Girl with Thursdays at 11. We're a little late today, and again, it was my birthday yesterday, so still trying to get back into the swing of things and getting my days going and everything. But anyways, I hope you guys had a great St. Patrick's Day. I love St. Patrick's Day, not just because it's my birthday, but because it's a fun day. It's a fun day that everybody go out and celebrate, pretend they're Irish, pretend they can drink. Yeah, it's amateur night, maybe. Anyways, but thanks for being here with us today. Just a quick reminder to make sure you hit subscribe and you hit the like button and head on over to Facebook and Instagram and like me over there too. Show me some love, y'all. Somebody show me some love. That'll be great. So today I just want to talk to you a little bit about virtual communication. So that kind of came up a little bit yesterday for me when, obviously people are sending all the happy birthday wishes and everything through Facebook, and it got me thinking, outside of, a few hand-delivered cards, which I love and receive, I have not received a birthday card in the mail in, I think, years. It's kind of funny. Everything is done virtual birthday cards, e-cards, virtual wishes on Facebook and Instagram, and sometimes TikTok. I don't know. It's been a crazy level of evolving. So that got me thinking. So I started looking up virtual communication and when we really started doing that. So what? Humans have been around 200 some odd thousand years ish. So you can think for the last, for about 199,000 of those years, we were face to face. We were communicating, one on one or in groups, and we had that interaction. And then along comes the virtual world, which, don't get me wrong, it's absolutely amazing. And there's so much stuff that is done for us, but there's things that is done to us too as well. And I don't know necessarily if it's a good thing. So people like me with a hearing impairment, or the profound loss that I have, texting actually is great because it kind of takes away the need to be on the phone sometimes. Email, same thing. Zoom meetings, they're great, but when I'm on a telephone conference, I'm pretty much lost unless the other person is very loud and very clear. So I usually preface it all the time, and I'm very, very open about being able to be a participant and be able to hear everything that's being said. And I have no shame in my game in asking people to repeat themselves. Promise you that one. Anyways, let's talk about virtual communication. So, 200 some odd thousand years ago, caveman, we ran around in loincloths and communicated in grunts and killed each other with clubs, went after woolly mammoths and saber-toothed tigers and those kind of big animals. So if you think about it though, well, how did they communicate? They learned, and this carries on down for some of us as well, they learned how to communicate or to anticipate what was coming. I mean, it was a matter of life or death for them. They had to look and see what the intent was and be correct in that because they lived or died by that. They were able to, be clear in what they needed. I mean, for them, communication was kill, be killed. If there's a potential mate, is it something that's gonna eat me? Is it something I can eat? So very simple in layman's terms. And of course we've evolved, but we're still in that mindset if you think about it. We need to have, fulfill our needs. Eat, shelter, heat, things that keep our basic needs met. But what we're missing right now in one of those basic needs is the communication component, the face-to-face. When we communicate face-to-face, body language conveys far more than the essential, or far more of the essential elements of the exchange than just the content. I don't know if you've watched previous YouTubes of mine. 93% of communication is nonverbal. Only 7% is the spoken word, which is where You Can't Yell Deaf Girl comes in and wanting to share this message because there's always a way to communicate with somebody, no matter what the barrier is, whether it's the ears, the sound, the visual, language. However, there is always a way to communicate with people and to hold people in a space of can't communicate with them because of a physical or cultural element is kind of crap, really. It is one thing if they have an attitude, if it's one thing if they're difficult to communicate because they don't want to listen, that's fine. But the hearing has nothing to do with the listening. So just let me preface that as I talk about this, because virtual communication has really been great for some people in giving them the ability to communicate with more people. Because, people who cannot hear have been able to text or they use the relay system or however that works. But there's still the barriers when you're in face to face. So, if you think about this, virtual communication has made life faster, it's made the ability to communicate faster, but we're losing that interaction. And then you throw in masks and all that fun stuff lately. It's just really, really crazy right now. But here's the other thing that the virtual world does. It is impossible to convey the richness of the interface that you have when you're with someone or within the group because of that element that's lost of the nonverbal. And additionally, you can actually see the emotion. You can see if they're irritated. You can see if they're being sarcastic. Sometimes, people are hard to read, but you still can get a sense if they're joking or not. You get a text or an email, there's no emotion behind it. There's no feeling, there's no message. And I know a lot of people in my world will put emojis with things so they can make sure that there's some kind of emotional element to it, but it doesn't always come across. And there's been times I've received text and gone, oh my gosh, are they mad at me? Did I do something wrong? And all because of the way it read, and I wasn't able to see the emotion or the physical or the nonverbal content behind it. And so, of course, I'm going to ask, are you mad or what's going on or how did you mean this or whatever. So that's the thing. When a channel of communication is cut off or impoverished, I can't say that, impoverished, and you have just one element of it, your brain fills in that missing data willy-nilly, meaning your brain's going to look at that and go, okay, so I can't see or feel or hear or understand the nonverbal clues behind it, so based on the way this is reading, there's big stories going on here. And so the brain will sit there and process everything, but there's no sight, sound, smells, atmosphere, or idea of the space in which the message is meant. And that is what virtual communication takes away from us. We can do everything we can to make sure that we give that, and you can still get some of that with a verbal conversation by being on the phone, but it's still kind of crazy because when you get a text, you're actually getting faulty data. Even though the message is clear, the faulty data is the rest of it, that 93% that's not coming through. So virtual communication is great. And, I usually try to attempt to talk to people more on the phone or FaceTime or Messenger or whatever, or Zoom. But there are times we have to resort to text or email, but it kind of just sucks. So virtual communication, it is not going away. We know that. But here's what comes into this whole communication thing. The effort still stays with the deliverer or the receiver. The effort is still necessary to convey the true meaning behind what you're saying. Sometimes if I know I can't speak to somebody on the phone and I text them, I will preface it. I want you to know that I'm coming to you in this space of love or concern, or we need to have a critical conversation, or this is feedback, so that as they read it, they have a general idea of where I'm coming from. Additionally, if you're receiving something, you have the space to say, look, what space are you in right now? I'm taking this a little off. I'm taking this as I'm not sure what to think. And sometimes you might know somebody well enough that you kind of get an idea of how their messages are coming through. But you know what? Nothing on Facebook, Instagram, text, or email, or anything that's virtual without sight, your face, tend to lack that emotional connection. Always. Always. You can add different words and add different punctuation and all those things to kind of lighten or add heftiness to a conversation in those manners, but it's really, really hard. So you have an obligation. We all have an obligation, no matter what level these work, to make the effort to communicate so that people understand the emotional context behind it, because that is missing. We are raising children in a world where their social skills are starting to suck badly because there's no human interaction. They don't know how to convey their emotion in a way that gives them control and the ability to use their voice, because they're used to doing this and they're safe behind this. But when they're in front of somebody, they don't know how to control the emotion, or they don't know how to put the emotion into it that is appropriate for the situation. So I think us as adults, those of us who grew up in an era where we didn't have cell phones, we have an obligation as a generation to make sure that our youth are growing up with an ability to socialize. And it's an important component. And socializing is not gaming or going through Zoom or going through all these other things. Socializing is actual, in person, face to face interactions. So that's my take on virtual communications. I love it. It's not going away, and I know that. I know this. However, we can make it better for everyone involved. So here's my suggestion to you for virtual communication. If you tend to be a heavy texter, if you tend to be a heavy emailer, or you use your social media through messaging, make sure you add some context and content to it that lets people know what emotional space you're coming from. That doesn't mean you have to start it off, I'm so pissed at you, I'm this. You can start it off with, hey, I'm angry. So understand that the tone of this is going to sound angry because I am. And then you'll get it. And you'll be like, okay, great, you're angry. And you can understand why. Because when you understand the emotion behind the sentence or the feedback, you have the ability to step back and think about how you're going to react and make the effort to react appropriately and with empathy and respect as well. So anyways, virtual communication, not going away, but we can make it better through our own efforts in adding some kind of human touch to it in some manner or shape or form. Or you back it up with a phone call, or you call them on Zoom, or you make sure there's a face-to-face conversation so that the content and context is not lost. Anyways, that's it. So Thursdays at 11, virtual communication. Let's do what we can to make it better. Again, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button, or head on over to my Facebook and social media, my Instagram, or all of those over there, and show some love. I would love to hear from you. I'll be back next week, Thursday at 11, and I hope you guys have a great day. It's a beautiful spring day here in Utah, so I hope it's gorgeous weather where you are. If not, you can still choose to make it a great day. So go make good choices, love your life, and live in love. Talk to you soon.